All right, so this is our week 4. So I will start with this, and this is our week 4. We will be starting today something that would be quite, quite different from what you are familiar with. So this is our week 4, and let's start our discussion on week 4. Okay. So let's, as we have a tradition, let's make a notes file here, notes.txt. We'll have a node.txt file, and then we will just talk about some of the important things. Okay, so what we have to discuss, if you look at your notes also, excuse me, for week 4, we will be talking about objects in JavaScript, which we have seen somewhere, like somehow we have seen what are the objects. And we have seen some pre-made objects, like we have talked about the arrays, we have talked about the functions, we have talked about, they were all considered as objects. But today, we will be just talking about how we can create our own objects. And this our own object concept will be a little, as I said, will be a little new for most of you guys. Again, those who have C language programming experience, this might be a little bit different experience over here, but we will just talk about. So what is an object? Like we have talked about object, as I said, we have talked about object data type, but now we are saying that what is object? An object is a map in JavaScript. What is a map? Or map, also called as associative array, or a dictionary. If you are familiar with, those who are familiar with the Python, they will know that there's something called dictionary that we use. So we can call this associative array or a dictionary also. And it's a collection, it's a collection of, if I just, the definition is a data structure rather. Is a data structure composed of a collection of key and value pairs. Now, this is very important. Key and value pairs. So an object is a data type in JavaScript that will necessarily have a key and value mapping. And Eric, you want to say something about your post yesterday? What's that? Okay, Eric, is that by mistake? Oh. Okay, so Eric, no, I was talking about week 3 part 1 and week 3 part 2. Both of them should be there on the channel YouTube. I think you. Can anyone else confirm? I think there should be week 3 part 1 and part 2. So it's not like it should be, there should be like two parts of there. Okay. Okay. So which one you are, Eric? Which one you think is not shared? The part 1 or part 2? I'm talking about like the. Okay, part 1 is not shared. That's interesting. That's an interesting observation. I'll just check that.
I meant to. Sorry.
Sorry.
I meant part 2 was not shared.
Part 2 was not shared.
Yeah, like the last lecture shared was on May 20th.
Oh, I see. I got it. I did not share the link with you on your maybe but the lecture is very much shared. I'll just check that quickly, because if that's a problem, that was supposed to be shared. I'll just check it in my. Yeah, I have like uploaded that, but the problem was that I forgot to, I think, post a link of that one for you guys. Okay, no problem. I'm right now sharing it right now, right? And I'll share that on your on your course shell as well, Blackboard course shell, right? So hopefully you'll get that. And you're right. But again, if you go to the YouTube, you will find that part. Even though I did not share the link with you, But again, you will always find the link on, if you go to the YouTube, you will just find the link over there. Like you will find the week 3 part 2 or week 3 part 1, whatever. You will definitely find it's going to find there, right? So those who are asking about that one, they should see that typically over there. They will see that over there, right? Eric and there was someone also. Nicole, you understand what I'm saying? So part 1, part 2, both of them are on YouTube, what I see right now. And if you just go over there, you will find them. Got it? WEB222, like, WEB222 summer and week 3 part 1 and week 3 part 2, both are there. Okay. Now let's talk about this. An object is a map or associative array or dictionary is a data structure composed of a collection of key and value pairs. This is a very interesting observation. An object it's more like an array. You remember arrays? You know about arrays. If I talk about, let's talk about arrays. Like rather let's talk about arrays. If I write, let my ARR is equal to, and I write some values 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 5, whatever. I've just written on some values. Now, a very important observation over here, and I want you to observe that. I want you to see that. Do you know that every element of this array has an associated index number? What do I mean? If I want to print first value out of this array, what I'll do? I'll say console.log, and I'll say my ARR square bracket 0. You know what I mean? And in the same way, again, if I'm not running a loop, in the same way, I can print all the values of my arrays. Understand, everyone? So array, when it is created, actually it has index numbers, indices through which we recognize their values. Now, I would say something which, of course, which might not look very familiar to you, but shouldn't I say that array is technically like this? If I write this again, let me my ARR equal to, see here, and I'm writing this intentionally, 0:1. I'm just exactly representing this array, but in a different form. 1, and let me change the values. Why? Because you might be getting confused. 23, 42, 59. These are the 4 values. Now, if I represent this array in what I'm saying to you, so how I will write that? I will say at 0 location there is 13. At 1 location there is 23. At 2 location there is 42. At 3 location there is 59. Is that making sense to everyone? I'm just representing that, and I'm letting you know, because we are about to discuss the object. So I want to tell you the inner depth of the array, like inner details of the array. Can I get a quick response from everyone that you are understanding what I'm saying? So I have just mentioned that key and mapping. There is a key of 0, there is a key of 1, there is a key of 2, there is a key of 3, and I have mapped that with a value. So again, if I want to know what is at location 1, I will just, or location 3, for example, I'll just go over there and I'll say, okay, just go and find out the location 3. Now, arrays automatically or inherently, arrays do not require to mention these index numbers, and these index numbers are automatically associated with all the values. We don't assign them. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Now the concept which I want to tell you, if I convert this array into another form, and I'm writing that form over here, let my obj, I'm saying object. Now, first of all, the first change, remember that I will change my square brackets with the curly braces. This represents an object. You need to remember. If I'm writing something in the curly braces, in the curly brackets, you will say, okay, this is an object, right? And as we say, that object is a map or associative array or a dictionary, a data set composed of a collection of key value pairs. There will be key and value pairs. So for example, in my object, I come over here and I write, for example, I write a value and I write WEB222. Now, how many of you understand that I am exactly doing the same thing that I showed you within array to make you understand that array also has this mapping, but since arrays have automatically 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 mapping, you don't need to mention that. You never mention that. and array automatically accept that. But here I have created my own dictionary. I'm saying whenever someone asks for course, give them WEB222. Are you guys getting that? And if I tell you another thing, so for example, if I say comma year, I'm talking about this course right now to 2022. Are you getting that course? You know the key value mapping. So an object typically is in this key value mapping form. Can I get a response in the chat window other than Ria Melani? Ria Melani has responded already. Before that, are you getting that? So an object, no response. Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's like a dictionary. Yeah, it's just like a dictionary. And of course, yes, of course, you are right that it's like a dictionary. That's wonderful. Now so you understand that, okay, this would behave like a dictionary. And now let's start talking about different types of objects that we have. So now one is called empty object literal. Empty object literal. So what will be that? So I will say, okay, let obj equal to nothing. This is an empty object. You know what I mean? This will be an empty object. Now, an object literal with a key value, as we have just shown the message, like pair in it. We have seen that already. So if I want to create, I'll say obj2 equal to, and it has a key mapping, and I'll say WEB222. This is object literal with one value, right? And in the same way, there can be multiple values. So I'll say, for example, a course info. So I'm talking about this course info object is equal to now. First of all, curly braces. I will know, okay. And how to write that? We write just like that. So I'll write course WEB222, comma, and section. I'll say NJJ, and I'll say school, and I will say Seneca, for example. And there will be a terminator after that. You know what I mean? So this is an object that has multiple values. Now, I'll just, this is the notes. So I was just writing the notes. Now I'll just create one text, one script file, and I will call it script.js. Right? So I'm just, now I'll be working in this script.js. Let's create this same array over here. Like not array, sorry, this same object over here. So you see here now, graphically, it is just representing course info is an object that has 3 fields or 3 values inside that one. Now, how can I access these values? Important question. Console.log. There are 2 ways of accessing these values. There are 2 ways. The first way is called dot notation, which is very common, and you must be familiar with that one. What does it mean by dot notation? I'll come over here and I'll say course info dot section. What will be my output? Anyone, of course? You see that I am inside course info. I want to access that dot section. So you should know that what should be my answer. No, it should be. Did I made a mistake? Of course, the spelling is wrong. Eric, no problem. Okay, so of course I misspelled that one. You see here NJJ, because it will be taking out the section out. So it means that if I want to, and it's one of the method where we are just trying to find out. So if I rather than dot section, if I write a school, of course. Now, Eric, what will be the answer? It should be NJJ now, Eric. Okay, right. So it will be now Seneca, and it will just represent. So whatever you with the dot, the name of the object, and the dot, whatever I'll try to exit, bring, it will just bring that. This is called object notation. Now, there is another notation, and that notation is called array notation. And we are familiar with this array notation. You are familiar with this array notation. So if I write console.log, If I write console.log and I write course info square brackets. Now see here, this is important. Now I'll have to place the key over here, course. I'm talking about first the course. What should be my output now, Eric? Understandably, WEB222. Why? Because I am asking. So this is called array notation. Give the array symbol as we used to do in arrays. You remember, if I want to print some array value, I will print like this. So rather than giving that one in strings, you will pass the field over there. Is everyone getting that? So these are, and this is not sorry, it's called array notation or index notation. Sorry, index notation, not array notation. Now, both notations have their own benefits and both notations have their own problems. Now see here. Both notations can be used in a different purpose and they have their own uses. And I would maybe I will just skip that out, but it's up to you, whatever notation you want to use. If you say course info.school, you will get. Now interestingly, if I just write course info over here and just comment this line for a second, and I come over here and rather than writing .school, see here, I just wrote course info. What should be my output? Interestingly, I will get my complete object as output. Course WEB22 section NJJ school Seneca. Is that making sense to everyone? Now, it's a complete object information. And I would really want you to just focus on these kind of things, because when we'll be working with a large amount of data, then you will come to know, okay, what I have to do and what I am doing and what I have to do, because you should know that these basics should be very clear. Right? Let's take one more example before going into any depth or anywhere. So if I say, I'm just taking this from your from your lectures. So curly braces. Now, this object does not only contains simple fields, like it's a string field, and by the way, you can have an integer field as well. So I can say, for example, this course ID is 10 or not 10. Yes, 10 or whatever. You can give any. So it's an integer value. So you can give integer value. You can give a string value. You can give whatever. Even you can give. Let's talk about this. Array value. So if I say breakfast, and in breakfast, I want to say that this breakfast is basically an array. So let's see here. And again, I've just taken this example from your notes. Now, here is something that I would like you to focus on, and I would like you to make you understand. So this is breakfast. Then there is a lunch. So there can be arrays as well inside. So salad, right? Chicken, apple, and milk. Now, this is an array, and the array is ended. So I'll have to put the inverted comma. So these are the values. So you can put a string inside that value. You can put a number inside that, or you can put an object inside that. You know what I mean? So it can be used. So now lunch, and now let's add one more, dinner. And let's say, for example, again, the same example that is used there, salmon, rice, green beans, like that. So if I hit save, now, very interestingly, and again, I'll make it comment. I don't want them to run now. So now this is our object, menu. Right? Now we know that if it was a normal, like a normal object, a normal string, and normal numeric values, we could have just access them like that. Okay, course info dot course info dot section. But here we have got what they are inside themselves. They are the the arrays. And let's talk about how we would print some values over here. So console.log. If I come over here, so I'll say first of all menu, right? And if I write menu dot, I will have all the fields available of that menu. And what are the fields? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if I say menu dot breakfast, Now, interestingly, here I can use both of the methods. I can say, for example, not both of the methods, rather, what I'll do is that, for example, if I say, come over here, and if I say of 0, what will be my output? Anyone? What will be my output over here?
X.
Sorry, eggs. Okay, let's go and run that. Eggs. And why is that? Because breakfast of 0 basically consists of the eggs. And same ways, if I go over there and I do something like this, and if I hit that, you see that it would be a toast now, right? Now, since this is an array and it has no associative index, again, this is not an object in itself. This is just an array. So I am just accessing them like this. So I can access that one. And by the way, if I ask a question, because this is a question that is very important, and I would like to, how can, rather just leave that question right now. I want you to understand the concept, because I will ask that question shortly later on. So you understand what's going on? Menu.breakfast of 0, menu. So if I just, rather than menu.breakfast, if I say menu.lunch of 1, so what will I get? Anyone? If you look at my data, menu.lunch of 1 will bring up what? The chicken. Not salad, Riyamlani. The salad is at 0 location. I'm at menu at lunch 1, right? So okay, anyhow. So this is how you will manipulate an array. Right? So this is how you will just try to manipulate the arrays. And that's a quite interesting. And again, I would like you to just remember that one. Okay, this is typically something that really is an important one. Another very important, how it would get chicken. Riyamlani. So Riyamlani, so here, see here, menu.lunch, and then square brackets. I mentioned not 0. I mentioned 1. Riyamlani, do you see that? It's 1. 0 is for salad, and 1 is for chicken. 2 is for apple. 3 is for milk. You got it? Yeah, always. Arrays always start with a 0. That's wonderful. Okay, now there are other interesting concepts related to objects as well that I want you to understand, and then we'll move to a nice example over there. I can define an object, my obj equal to nothing, or maybe let's redefine the mic like course info, because I want to show you something equal. So course info is an object that has, for example, course, and the name is there, WEB222. So there's just course info WEB222 over there. Okay, so menu11 would also get chicken. Oh, Eric says menu11 will also get chicken. Let me just show you. I'll just uncomment that one. So see here, menu11. You are saying menu1 and 1 should also get chicken. Let's run that. First of all, check that one, and then we'll talk about it, what is happening. It's not recognizing this one. Eric, I would tell you, and can anyone tell me why menu11 is not working? Yes, can anyone tell me? Let me know that why this menu11 is not working. Because remember, because this is, over here, if you talk about that, if you want to access this lunch over here, it is not location at 0, rather it is location at lunch. You have to mention the field, like the key in inverted commas, if you want to access that one. Eric, are you getting that? And I'll show you that. So if you run that now, you'll get chicken. Eric, are you getting that? Because it's an object. An object is mapping the values not with the 0, 1. Rather, you have yourself given the key over here. This would be 0, 1 if it was a normal array. I hope, Eric, are you getting that one? Yes, I get it. So the array has no number value. How do you access it if you are using a for loop? Oh yeah. So Eric, that is a separate story. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that. How would you access that one? And that's a very interesting question. And I'll let you know. This is a question that you have asked from the advanced topic. I'll talk about that. How would you access that one? For loop or for each. I would just give you a way to read all that data, because if you guys realize that we are starting or getting into the real world of web development, there you will find the data in this form, and you will have to just dethrow this data, decrypt that data, take out some values from that one, and play with that on your website, Eric. Eric, you know what I mean? I hope you understand what I'm saying. That now we are starting to jump it, and you're right. How would you use for loop? How would you access this? Something like that. And that is something that will be just, we'll have to just, worry about, okay, how I'll get that typical data. But for that, just wait and bear with me, and you'll see that, okay, we can access these kind of things. You got it, Eric? So again, I'll be talking about that in a greater depth, greater detail. Okay. Right on. So what I want to say here, that so that I just want to tell you something, that when we define an object, so there are two kinds of things. And the things are that you should know that there is something called a getter, and there is something called a setter. So you should remember one important concept, that in objects we have two things. One is called getter and one is called setter. What do you mean by getter and setter? I want to give you an example, and please remember that one. If I say console.log, and I say course info.course, it will be called as that I am using the getter method here. So getter method that will get the value out of the object. You know what I mean? That will get the value out of object. Right? What is the setter then? Setter is very interesting. If I come over here and I say course info.course equal to WEB222. Isn't that interesting? I've just change a value. Now let's say console.log, and I print course info.course. Now, what will be my output? Of course, you should know. What will be my output now? If I run that one, you see WEB22, and now I have the object has been updated. So here, what I have used, typically where I've used, this will be called the setter function over here. Setter means something that sets up the value for the object. You know what I mean? I hope you are getting that. So setting up is something that will set up some value over there. Make sense, everyone? Other than Eric. Eric is always actively replying. I would like everyone to be active, of course. Okay, Kunal, thank you very much. Okay, Aditya. Now let's see here. So this is basically what? Setter and getter. Now there is a very interesting fact about this one. Let me tell you. Okay, for example, I just comment out these two lines. I comment out these two lines, and now right now I have just set up a value, or maybe just I'll console that. And rather what I'll do is that, yeah, okay. So I console not course info.course, rather I'm just printing all the object rather than. So I'll come over here. Let's see here. I'll show you. I want to show you something. So object before changing is called, like, is having course number WEB22 and then WEB322 after the changing. Rajesh, is that making sense? Now I want to tell you something. This object has only one field, one key value pair. Now I come here. So JavaScript is so user friendly. I'll just remove the lines so that show everything on one screen. So JavaScript is so user friendly that I come over here and I say course info dot school equal to maybe ABC College, something like that. Now you would say that the object only has one field. How can you set up a value for the school field? Now I would like to show you something. Now let's print that console.log and course info now. Can anyone tell me what has happened to my output? Now there are three outputs, and you can guess from the line 26 output, line 28 output, and line 30 output. What is the difference between what is special about line 30 output? The new field that I set up, it automatically creates that and stores that one. Is that interesting behavior? Because object had nothing into it. Like the object had only one field into it, and we have just added one more field over there. It really means I can do something like this as well. Even I start with an empty object, there is nothing in it. Can anyone tell me what will be the output of my program? If I hit save and I run that one, what will be the output? See here. First time it will be empty. Second time it has created a field course, course, and set it up with Web222. And third time it has created another field and set it up to abc.college. Is that making sense to everyone? That's wonderful. Now, in the same way, if I ask you that, okay, by mistake, I have added this school abc.abc college. I want to remove this field. Now see here, how would you remove that? And remember this one. So you'll say course info and school equal to null. So first of all, I can make it null. I say course info dot school is equal to null. Okay. Let's check that whether it has been removed or not. By setting it to null, will it remove it or not? Can anyone tell me with the amount of knowledge that we have discussed till now? So if I come over here, you see that school has not been removed. Rather, school has been set up as a null. It has null value. It won't delete it. You know what I mean? If you do school is equal to null, it would of course set it up to the null. You remember intentional null, that it should be null. There should be no other value in it, but it does not delete it. So how to delete a value typically from that one? I will come over here and I use this delete keyword. So I'll say course info dot school. Delete, right? And if you delete it, and now if I copy and paste my object, you will see that what will happen. Is that clear to everyone? That's something that I wanted you to just understand, because this is something on which we will be basing our discussion from now onward. And I will give you a very nice, we'll just discuss a very nice example related to the locations, and then we will just talk about some more interesting things over here. Make sense, everyone? So this is objects introduction, and an object is a very interesting data type, or it's a type in JavaScript that we can use to just create some key value mapping over there. And this key value mapping can have anything inside that. And I'll show you that even they can have another object inside that one as well. And I'll talk about that shortly. But first of all, I want everyone to just understand this concept. Everyone is good with that one? Let's move forward. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll just make everything comment here, because I don't want it to disturb my later outputs. Okay, let's talk about a very nice example. And let's see what is the benefit of using the objects over the arrays or different data types. There must be some of the benefit of that one as well. Right? Let's take an example. So example is that I want to know the position of Seneca College on map. I want to know the position of Seneca College on map. And someone tells me that Seneca College has these two attributes. Whatever. These are the two. So someone says that the latitude of, you know what I mean? Latitude is 43.65 something, and the longitude is minus 79.38 centimeters. Someone told me this. Now I would like to check that, okay, what programming construct will be the most helpful for me on defining the map of the Seneca on in my program. You know what I mean? This is a data given, and I want to see that which one will help out. Now the first and the foremost important way, which should be first way everyone should think about. Okay, I'll say let latitude, let's just call it lat, right? Lat is equal to whatever value it is. Just copy this one. And define let long or lon is equal to longitude is equal to minus 79.3875. Now, the first way you always will use the first basic way. You will just define two variables. You will say, okay, latitude is equal to 43.5 and longitude is equal to minus 79.38575. But the problem is that it means that if I ask you, okay, Seneca College has 5 campuses and 5 longitude latitude, you will have to define for every campus, you will have to define one lat, one long, one lat, one long, lat 1, lat 2, lat 1, long 1. You know what I mean? Lat 2, long 2, if there are 5 values. So you will say, okay, it becomes very cumbersome for me now to just define for 5, because I was thinking that only there will be a 1, 2 values. So I will just use the simple variables. So this first simple variable way is not very effective when you talk about that. You might have multiple campuses and multiple things. So but another way you might say, okay, there is another way using arrays. I can use an arrays to define the location. How can I define? I'll say let Seneca equal to, now take out these 2 values again, Control C. I put it over here, comma, and I put this over here. You know what I mean? I'm just making your mind that how object will be important and useful. I can define this array like this. And now, if someone asks you, okay, what is the location of Seneca? So you'll say console.log. Someone says that, okay, what is the latitude of the Seneca College? So you'll say, okay, Seneca, square bracket, 0. You know what I mean? 0. And in the same way, you will say, if you want to know the longitude of so I can just define, so single variable is defining both of the values. So far, so good. Someone will say, okay, you have done a good job. Firstly, there were 2 variables, and now you have one variable, one array variable that has all 2 values available. But again, think about the situation when I will ask you to have maybe multiple things. And number 1. Number 2, if there is a data that you have multiple values of, you need to remember the index values. Kunal, is that making sense? You need to always remember the index value. Again, no one can say by looking at that this is a longitude or a latitude. Am I able to make you understand where I'm trying to take you? No one will be able to guess by looking at Seneca of 1 that, okay, is it longitude or is it latitude? I don't know. It's just an array value. I don't know. You need to guess whether it is a longitude or a latitude. Now comes our lifesaver, the third way. What is the third way? The third way is by using objects. Again, the one that we want to really discuss. So what that would be, let's Seneca equal to curly braces. Remember curly brace, like curly brackets, and again there will be a terminator after that as well. Okay, now I say let, and I just give that value 43.6553, whatever value can be anything, and I say longitude is equal to minus 79.3875. Okay, so our lifesaver has come. Now what is happening? Now if I ask you, okay, give me the longitude of Seneca College, you will go there, okay, no problem. I know the longitude of that. Sen.log, Seneca.log. You know what I mean? Now you don't need to guess something. Rather, you are very much sure that, okay, that the thing that I'm accessing, the value that I'm accessing here is the latitude value. The value that I'm accessing is the longitude value. It's much easier to read now. And if there are so many values, or I'll talk about, you might be thinking, okay, still the problem of multiple colleges remains out there. I'll talk about that. But do you understand that now it has become a bit easier to remember that? And you don't need to remember by yourself. And you say, okay, if you want the location of Seneca, just write Seneca.log. If you want to learn the location of ABC College, ABC.latitude. You know what I mean? You just name the college and write latitude or longitude, you will get the value. Is that making sense to everyone? Now I would like to add something over here. Now, good, that's good. Okay. Now I say that, for example, let's talk about a situation. What situation I'm talking about here? So maybe we have multiple colleges and multiple values that I want to display over here. You know what I mean? There are multiple values that I want to display over here. And again, if I talk about the array situation separately, I'll just make it a comment for a second. So again, I have multiple colleges and I want to map multiple colleges, multiple values. So I can use an array as well. You remember? Sorry, we have talked about that. So if I write let points, now there will be points of multiple colleges. So I say I am creating an array. And you remember, array was created like this, 65532 whatever and minus 79. It was for a single value. But now if there are multiple colleges, what I'll do, I'll create an array of arrays. You remember arrays of arrays? I hope you have worked on the arrays of arrays. Now see, what I say, okay, there is one college that has been mapped to this one, and I don't know which college is this. Minus 90.4333, something like that. The second college location is 44.5442 and minus 89.6774, whatever. And the third college is 45.1234, comma, minus 79.5667. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to make you understand some very important concept. I can make an array of array. Now here is a question. Did you guys work on two-dimensional arrays in C language? Did you guys work on two-dimensional arrays in C language? Two-dimensional arrays? Like there were parallel arrays. Eric, I'm talking about two-dimensional arrays. Two-dimensional arrays, where there are rows and columns both. Okay, okay. Anyone else? Okay, Eric, I got your idea. Anyone else? Do you remember two-dimensional arrays? Exactly, Aditya, you are right. It's something like this. You are right. It's something like this. Double, double squares. Okay, so if you don't know about that, I'll have to just give you a quick review of two-dimensional arrays first, and then I'll talk about this, because then it will make more sense to you. I'll come to the notes, and it's a special topic, I can call it. Special topic, two-dimensional array. Special topic, and I mentioned it's special topic. Why? Because it's not directly part of our discussion. So you know that, for example, let's talk about this JavaScript environment. If I create an array, my ARR equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. You know that this is an array, and you know this is called one-dimensional array. This is typically called as 1D array, one-dimensional. So it's a one-dimensional array, right? And if I want to, again, if I want to print one value out of it, I'll just do console.log and I'll say my ARR, and I'll write square bracket 0. So I'll get the first value, second value, third value, fourth value. You know about that, right? So this is all done and dusted. You know about that. Now I'm talking about a special situation where I say that, okay, my 2D array, for example, I'm just naming it like this. Maybe it's not the right name, anyhow. So my two-dimensional array, I say that I have a two-dimensional array where there might be some rows and some columns. Now what I'll say, for example, I come inside that one and I just put a square bracket and I write another array and I write 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then I place a comma and I write 4, 5, 6. Now see here, and rather, what shouldn't I make a code of it and so that you understand that? So again, that special topic is here again. Special to the arrays, right? So now see here, I'm writing this one. So if I say let my ARR2 equal to, it should be an array. And this is a type of array that will contain multiple arrays inside that one. So it will contain first array 1, 2, 3, and then comma 4, 5, 6. Now see here, I'm just talking about the JavaScript situation, and then you can just run over there. Look at this array. Does it look like something like a matrix over here? Do you know what I mean? For example, if I just put this square bracket over here, it looks like a matrix. This location looks like a 0, 0 location. This location looks like 0, 1 location, 0, 2. So this is the 0th row, like first row, which has 0 index for the row value. 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. You remember the matrix type of something? Now, if I want to print any value out of it, console.log. If I come over here and I say my ARR2 square brackets 0 and another square bracket 0. Now please, Eric, it's not a question to you. It's even not a question to Kunal. Eric and Kunal, you should be silent. I would, and maybe you can send me a private answer. What will be my output if I print? If I run this program, what will be my output? You two can send me in a private, and rest everyone can write on the chat room. What will be my output? That's wonderful. Thank you, Kunal. Okay, Aditya, you are right. Aditya, you are right. It would be 1. And why it is that? 0th row, 0th column, because there are 3 columns. That's wonderful. Clarissa, thank you very much. Now, if I ask you, Clarissa, again, if I want to this one, what will be the output now? Clarissa, what will be the output now? Or maybe anyone, Aditya. It would be 4, because now I'm talking about second row, first column, 1, 0. And if I say 1, 1, of course it would be what? It would be 5. Now, someone asked that question. Again, this is not part of our discussion, but I will do it for you, just for your understanding. How I would write this program. So I can just say, well, let I equal to 0, I less than. Now I'll have to see how many rows are there. 1, 2. There are 2 rows. So I'll write I less than 2 because I want I to run twice. And I hope that you know about this for loop and everything, right? Okay. So now, since I need to have the columns as well, so I go for let j equal to 0 and j less than. Can anyone tell me what should I write j less than? Should it be 2? Should it be 3? Should it be 1? How would I decide that? My inner loop should run how many times? After Yamalani's 5. My inner loop will run how many times? Outer loop is controlling the rows. And inner loop will be controlling the columns. So Kunal, if I write 2 here. Yes, Aditya and Nicole write. Kunal, if I write 2 here, it will run 2 times. I want it to run 3 times. If you want it to run 3 times, 0, 1, 2, it will run for that one. Kunal, are you making sense of it? This is a good observation because, everyone should, participate in that one. You understand? Okay. Yes, that's wonderful. Now I want to print that console.log. I come over here and I would say my ARR2 square bracket and square brackets. Now, what should I write? I, comma, j. And hit save. Now let's run our program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the array values are basically coming over here. Of course, they are in a new line because we are just doing this console.log every line. So you see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all values of arrays are coming over here. Is that making sense to everyone? Length return 2. Oh, okay. So yes, that's an interesting question. So rather than this one, I'll come over here. You want to know that length, what would be the length of that? So if I say my ARR2 dot length, see here, what again, there are a few questions that you don't need to ask, you need to run that. Yes, it says 2. And why it says 2? Why it says 2? Because the first, technically speaking, in C language, if you have written it down, you would have written down like this. Let my ARR2 2, 3. You remember that? I'm just, writing that and making you understand. In C language, you used to write like this. my ARR 2 or whatever, 2 of 3. 2 rows, 3 columns. So it will just, it will count the width, it will count the length as these 2 rows. Aditya, got it? So again, let me just increase 1 row from here. For example, I say 7, 8, 9, whatever. If I add that one, and now if I run my program, you see 3 rows, length is 3. Aditya, I have replied to your question. You must reply with me. Okay, no, yes, what? You have gone disappeared after asking the question. Should we save in second loop? We can do j is less than my ARR2 dot. My ARR2 of I dot length. My ARR2 of I dot length. I'm not making sense of it. Okay, you mean the my ARR? I'm not getting that. Aditya, just apply that in the code and let me know that what's your observation, right? So just for my understanding. Okay, right. So if you see here that this is the way of running, running through our 2D array. Now, I would like to ask everyone, other than those who have been actively replying and answering everything. Now, you understand the concept of 2-dimensional array, everyone? This spatial 2D array topic. You can run it like this. The I will be 0, 1, 2, and J will run for its whole life. And this is called nesting of loop. I hope that is something that you specifically know about it. So now I'll cut it from here and I'll paste it in my notes so that you get that in the notes. So in recording also you will see that okay, this is in the notes. Okay, so I was talking about some interesting things over here. Now, if I make these points, now you should understand that. Now, if I want to print something, or I will ask the question now. And please, those who have good understanding, I'm not asking them. I want to just, I want those people to come on, which have a little bit of difficulty understanding or grasping that. 1, 1. Not 1, 1. 1 and 1. Here again, I will have to print this like this right now. 1, 1. What will be my output? Anyone other than those who have been continuously replying? Nicole, you can reply that. What will be my answer over here in this situation? Would it be 43, 90, like minus 90, 44, minus 89, 45, or minus 79 value? Which value it would be? Anyone? Minus 90.433. Okay, I'll check that, Clarissa. I don't know. Anyone else? Clarissa says 94, like, minus 90. You can just mention the first number as well. Minus 90, minus 89, minus 79. That would be fair enough. Now see here, Clarissa. It's minus 89. It's not 45. See here. This is 0001, 1011. The 11 is this value. Kunal, where in the world you are saying 11 will be the 11, 0001, 1011, 2021. Now, Kunal, that you are talking about, I think you are saying 45. Now 45 will appear, third row and not 45 will appear. It will appear with this 0. Now third row, first column. Yeah, Kunal, always start array with 0. Now, interestingly, where I want to take you, I have mapped 3 colleges location. And now again, I have to just remember, I don't even know that the value that is coming up is a longitude value or a latitude value. Again, the same concept that I was talking about, that it's still a problem to just recognize that. Now, here comes our lifesaver. And what is that lifesaver? Of course, you remember object. I'll talk about the objects. Now, I'll say let points equal to. Now, interestingly, I'm creating an array and an array of objects. You will see what does that mean. I create an array of objects. I write curly braces and this one, like, so I'm creating it. So I say let 43.2332 and long or LNG. Let's write it longitude for long minus 90.4332, whatever. I'm just taking random value. So the first object is this. The second object, now I'll just copy and paste this and change the values. This is for the second object, and the third object, another paste. Now I'll just do that and it'll settle that one. Okay. So now I'm just changing the first value, right? Just to make sure that no need to. So I'll just this to 70, this to 80. Again, I've just taken randomly values. Now tell me, how can I know, like, how would I know that? Okay, so again, I have to reach the row, typical row, and then I will be just using the value over there. Now tell me, if I want to print this minus 70.4322, can anyone write what will be the code? I want to write this minus 70.4322. So what should I write? Points. Now I want you to just complete this code. Can anyone just write this code and write in the chat window? I want to print this minus 70.4322. Kunal says 11. Kunal, still you are still roaming around the previous one. Kunal, have you observed that I'm using a curly braces now? I am making object of arrays. It's not arrays of arrays. It's objects, arrays of objects. So this 1 will not generate the output. Let's do that. 1 1. Let's run that and check that. Even if it runs, I won't recommend that. You see, undefined. You remember, undefined is something very bad. Undefined is something which is not defined. It is bad, by the way. Anyone else? What should I write to get minus 70? Aditya, you are okay. That's Eric. You are almost 100% right. And now you are using the array notation. If I use that notation, the dot notation over here, array should be there. Like, since this is an array, so the index will be accessed with this one, but I can access this longitude over here. Okay, so both ways are correct. So Eric's way is Eric's, and as you guys have given, this way is also correct. I can come over here and I can say inverted commas long square bracket closed. Still, it will get the same output. You know what I mean? I hope you are getting that. And now, if I want to print all longitude of all values, what I'll do, see here, for let I equal to 0, I is less than, say for example, right now I'm just taking that one. Later on, I'll tell you that you can just automatically calculate the strength as well. So if I come over here, if I just say this, and if I come over here and I say I, just I, what will happen now? Minus 90, minus 70, minus 80. I've taken all the longitudes over here. If I want all the latitudes over here, just go over there and change that latitude. You'll get all the latitudes over here. So far, so good, because we have to, this is something that I'm trying to make you understand, okay, how to access these different values. But later on, I'll tell you, okay, what are the different, things that we want to implement, because I'm about to start a very interesting fact with you that you will really enjoy, that, okay, this type of objects can be used. So you understand that we can have an array of objects. So if you create an array of objects, you can just access those array of objects by using this method. Got everyone? Can I get a quick feedback? Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, so now I'll just put that on comments, and I'll take a quick 5 to 6 minutes break. This is 9:03 in my clock, so I'll be back at 9:08 or 9:09 around. So let's take a 5 minutes break, and then we'll be back. And you have seen that, okay, there we have just defined, and now we are starting, as I said, we are starting one of the way that would really give us a good sense of how we effectively can utilize the object. So I'm creating an object with the name of user. So we are very much into our topics, right? I want to create a user with first name, and I gave, for example, Alan, like that, and I say last name And again, my favorite name, Smith, Alan Smith. I say email, and I say alan@gmail.com. Okay, no problem, Prajesh, no problem. alan@gmail.com. And I can define multiple fields for this user. Now, the point that I want to make over here is that you can have a Boolean variable, you can have a number, you can have anything. So, for example, if I say, and I'll rather say that in the beginning, I say I Boolean variable, it is false. And for example, let's say one more field, level is 3 or whatever, something like that. So I've created one object, and this object consists of some first of all one integer, then 1 2 3 three strings, one Boolean variable, and one not like one another integer variable. Now it's something that I want to I want you guys to bring onto that one. But first of all, let me just tell you that how would you access any value of that? And you are very much familiar with that one. I'm just writing that. I'll just remove this one. So if I say I want to have its email, so you'll say user.email, and you will get only the email of the user. And you know about that. Nothing, no big deal, because I want to tell you something else. alan@gmail.com. User.email, user.logged-in, user.something, and I will just make this populated more and more like that. What I want to say is that even functions can be the part of our objects. Functions can be the part of our objects. What do I mean? I say there is a login something that can be a function. I'm defining a function over here. And when this function will be called, the logged in variable will become, logged in variable will become logged in equal to true. Now see here, I have defined a function over here, and that function will do what? That function will typically, if that function is called, it will make its logged in value equal to true. Make sense, everyone? I can create a login function. I can create a logout function here as well. Again, in the same way. So I say logout, and I say it's a function, anonymous function. Remember anonymous functions? And logged in equal to false. So if you call this function, it will just make it again false, even though by default it is false, the login variable. But I'm just making two functions over here. Now let's print this one. Console.log, and I print user. I want to print the complete object. First of all, I want to see what is the complete object, right? You see here, I would like to show you this, and this is very important. This is the object that has been created, which has an ID 1, first name Alan, last name Smith, email alan@gmail, logged in false, level is 3. Login and logout are two functions. There are no definitions for that one. But anyhow, I want to show you something. Now I have printed this one. After that, I come over here and I say user.login. Can anyone tell me what will be my output now? Like what your concept says? If I say console.log user, I will definitely get the object again. But will there be any change in that object? Can anyone let me know? Exactly, logged in should be true over here. Now let's run that. Logged in is still false. Why is that? This is still showing the false, which is that. It should not be doing that. We can just check that one. Logged in false, and logged in false for both, of course, and it should be the case. And if I say user.logged in, it's still showing false. which is not good. Not good. It should be changing this one to. Okay, just give me a second. I need to check one thing. Let me just check that. Maybe I'm forgetting this one because this is another. Yeah. So this dot logged in. This was I was making a mistake. Now see here. I have created a function, and now just remember this keyword, which is starting today. It will never leave you for life. In programming, you will be just using that one. So what I'm saying that whenever you call this function, it will call the logged in variable, and this logged in variable is existing in this context. Right now, just understand this as well. So this means I am containing a variable logged in. Go and change its value from false to true. You see that it has now changed it to true. And now if I come back over here and I say user.logout, you know what I mean? And I again print this console.log user. So of course, now what it has done, it will take out its variable and again change back its value to the false. And now if I run that one, you will see that it is again false. It would be true in the between, false in the starting, true in between, and then again false. You know what I mean? So even function can be contained within within an object. You see, I have just defined a function over there. Make sense, everyone? So this is one user that I have created. Now again, I don't want to print all the users, and now you know that. Okay, you understand the concept of the functions as well. So now what I'll try to do. Okay, just close this one. So now what I want to do, I want to say that again, if I want to print something out of it, can explain what happened without this keyword. Yes, Aditya, what happens without this keyword? Now, this represents the contextual representation of any variable. Listen about that one. When I say logged in is equal to true, even though this logged in is found in this context, but whenever we call an object, the calling object at that particular time is called this object. The current instantiation of the object is represented by this keyword. If I take out this keyword, it is not recognizing which instantiation's value has to be made true or which instantiation's value has to be made false. Aditya, are you getting that? Now, again, understand, when I say this dot logged in, what does that mean? When you are calling user dot, I'm talking about this means I'm talking about myself. For the time being, you understand that this keyword tells me that myself, I have a variable logged in, go and change its value. This dot logged in, this dot first name, this dot anything, what I'm talking about. This represents the current contextual object. So when I'm saying this user, and of course you will understand that when I'll create multiple users. But again, if you see that when I say this dot logged in, it means that whatever user you are right now accessing, change its value to something else, change its value to a particular value. Are you getting that? It's a typical, this represents current execution, current working of current something, whatever. And now I can create even these two functions out of this body as well. Interesting. I'll tell you how come, and you should know that as well. So I have node function inside. Rather, what I do, I come out of this user and I say I'm creating a function login. It will accept a user object. You know what I mean? Now you will understand this as well. User object. And now it will say user dot logged in. So user has a variable logged in, make it true. Because now I'm defining it outside. So whatever user object has been passed to you, it will have a field logged in, make it true. You know what I mean? I hope you are understanding that. Like the working will be exactly the same, but now the change is that I have taken this one out of this, logged in equal to false again. Now you see here, I've done exactly the same thing, but put function outside of that one. It will accept a user and it will set user.logged in is equal to true. Now, if I just, uncomment all these lines, the work will be almost exactly the same, but not exactly the same. You will see that there will be a problem now. And who will tell me what is the problem? There is an interesting problem. It says that user.login is not a function. User.login is not a function. Now, can you tell me why it is happening? Of course, this looks very obvious, but can anyone let me know that why it is giving? It says that user.login is not even a function. How you are calling a user.login? Why? Because now you see that login is not existing inside the body of user. Login is outside of the body. So you cannot call this function like this. Rather, you have to call this function like this. Is everyone getting that? Because it's now not anymore inside that one, but it's a new function that will accept a user variable. How many of you are understanding that? Okay. First of all, let me just correct this one and let's see that what is the output now. Can I get some feedback other than Aditya? Yeah, Aditya, you are getting it. Okay. So now if you see here, if I come back over here and I just run that again, you will see that now it is saying something else. It says cannot set property logged in of undefined. Kunal, can you find out error in my code now? What is the error in my code now? Look at, so everything is on our screen. And I hope you will get the problem. What is the problem? Why it's not now? It says undefined. Undefined. I'm not undefined. It says the property logged in is of undefined. I don't know how to do that. Just look everyone thoroughly and let me know. I hope someone of you know the answer. Exactly, Aditya. That's wonderful. Now I need to pass user here because user is becoming undefined. Kunal, are you getting that? User is becoming undefined. It says because it has to do user.logged in. So it says what is user? User has not been passed. And remember, undefined is passed. Now let's see that. Now you see that now my functions are running properly. You see over here that first time it is false, second time it is true, and third time it is false again. You see over here. So these are the two ways. You can define a function outside, but of course, when it goes outside, it is not part of it one. Like it, but if it is inside, it will be the part of that one. You know what I mean? And remember, because this function I will be using, this user I will be using a lot of time later on. Sorry. Right. So I just made them function. So I will just take these outer functions, cut from here, and I'll paste them over here again, just for the remembrance. The code is there. And I will just remove this one as well, because I just wanted to show you something. Now I will work my way with these users, making some more and more fun. Right. So object has become a very important and integral thing over here. I have a question. Do you remember in C language you used to use functions? Yes or no? You have used so many functions in the C language. So there was a problem with functions. Problem was that you could only return one value out of a function. Is that true or wrong? You could use only return statement once, and once the return statement used to reach, your function used to hit exit, and you cannot get multiple values out of it. You remember you could only get one value out of a function. Other than Kunal, anyone remembers those function capability or function restriction or functions problem that you cannot get multiple values out of a function? Do you remember that? In the same way, in JavaScript also, we can only get one value out of it. But if we define function, we can have multiple values coming out of that one. What do you mean? What do I mean by that? And please remember this user, and I'll use this user a lot. So I'll just comment it for a second. I'll park it for a second. So let's see if we have a function calculate. Calculate something, whatever. It's a calculate function. Now you know that this calculate returns, for example, this calculate returns 120. I'm just making a very simple function. It's a calculate function that returns 120. So what I'll do, I'll say let result equal to calculate. Now what will be stored in my result? Spelling is wrong. So what will be stored in my result? What will be my output now? Very simple program. 120, of course, right? 120. Makes sense? Now, if I say I want to have 120 and also I want to have 240. You see, already my return is a dimmed code because it is unreachable code. Anyhow, can I return these two values together from my function? Never. I'll only get one value because this is unreachable code. This is unreachable code. You know what I mean, Kunal? It is called unreachable because you will never able to reach that code. You will always return from that one. Okay. Now, I'll tell you a very interesting way of returning two values together by using objects. If I write return curly braces, see here, curly braces, and I say total 120, comma, average, average 140, for example, or 40, because if that's something like that, average 40. I'm quite optimistic you will understand the concept and you will know, okay, what is the benefit of this using object as return type. So I'm returning not a single value, I'm returning a single object, and object is a key value mapping, and I'm saying total is equal to 120, average is equal to 40. Now let's see what will be stored in my result. Now can anyone tell me result will contain what? Result will contain 120, 40, or it will contain an object? That's wonderful, Aditya. It will contain an object. Now see here, the complete object will represent over it. Now the thing to ponder over here is, if I come over here and I say result, if I come over here and I say result dot total, so will I get only 120 over here? 120, and I can print the other result as well. Console dot. I want to print them separately. I'll say result dot average. Now I am getting two variables back from that one, an object variable, and I can print both of the values together separately. Kunal, did you get the gist of discussion? Why I am telling you this object returning? Because this object returning is enabling you to return maybe multiple values from a function, and that's a really a cool thing. We can just have many values returning from the function. You see, I just keep on adding the values and this all will be returned. So if I say over here and I say name, and I say again, Alan should be returned. I say email, and I say this ABC at Gmail should be returned. You see, all of these things will be returned now. And now if I just, if I just print, for example, again, if I just print and I just print the result, I'll get the complete object over here. So you see how interesting it is that when you get something back from the object, you are like, an object can contain so many things. It has contained all the things that we need. Got everyone? Just remember that. Okay, this is one of the benefit of our function, of our object that we can. So I'll just cut that again because I'll park this over here in the notes so you can later on look at it. And of course, in recording you will be looking at that. These are the things, right? Right, so here comes something that I will just start now. If I want to create multiple users like this, you remember what we do? We create an array of users. I can create an array of users. You know what I mean? For example, what I want to say, I say let users equal to square bracket. Are you getting that what I'm saying? I want to have multiple user objects, and I want to store them in an array. So now, if I come over here and rather than, I'll just make it uncomment, right? And now, because it's of course, I'll just copy this from here. Okay, not uncomment. I'll keep at comment, and I just copy this one from here. From this part to this part, I've just copied this one, and I come over here and listen over here. I want to put multiple users. So I will, first of all, I will say, okay. I'll say, okay, I want to have 3 users over here. Remember, and be very sure, it's a square bracket. I want to have 3 users. So the first user I want to have is the same user that I created, Alan Smith. And now I'll make it uncomment as well. Now see, my first user is ID1 and Alan Smith. Now I'll copy this one and paste it over here. Now I'll say this is my second user. So I'll say, okay, user 2, Bob Smith, for example, and let's make Bob at Gmail. And its maybe value will be true, something like that. And I can say its level is, for example, 1. Functions are same. You know what I mean? I hope you are getting what I'm just, copying that same one and just, changing some values. So I say 3, I will say here Christina, for example. And I will say, okay, CHR for just for the email. Changing the value false should be remain false. And the level is 5, for example. And that's that. Do you know what I have done? I have created an array of objects, and all objects are the users object, and its name is user. So I have got multiple users combined together. I want you to be very sure about that. So actually what I have this, if I just write a comment here. So what I've done, I have said let users equal to square bracket, and then inside that there are objects. So I have created the users of object, like arrays of objects. You know what I mean? Arrays of objects. So right. So are you understanding, first of all, that I have created multiple users, multiple objects in a one array? Everyone is making sense of it, because now I have just given this basic structure over here so that you know, okay, what's going on inside that. So there are 3 users over here. That's good. 3 users over here. And I have got I have these 3 users being working over there. Now, if I come over here and I'll ask you a question, console.log. If I write users of, so for example, if I ask you, if I say users of 2.email, what will be my output? How can I show you data as well, the complete data? I'll have to, yeah. I'm trying to make it smaller so that you can see a complete screen. So it's very small. Let me make it a bit bigger. This looks nicer. So if I say users of 2.email, is there a way to have more structure with these objects? These feel like NoSQL versus SQL. I think I'm not sure I'm making sense of your question. And can you just ask this question a bit later? Let me just complete that, and I'll again ask you this question, right? I'm not making sense of your question. Now see here, we have got this users where we have this objects, and if I say users of 2.email, so what should be the output? So Aditya says it would be, okay, let's run that one. It's CHR according to Aditya. And why this is CHR? Because remember why you are confusing. This is 0th value. This is 1 object. This is 2 object. It would not be Bob's email. For Eric, it would be Christina's email. Is that making sense? Now, Eric, if I say user 1.email, again, I think you are confusing that 0 and 1. Now it should be, the output should be what? The Bob's email. Now it would be the Bob's email. And now I'm about to tell you something that someone was asking in the beginning. What happens if I want to print all those values? So I'll come over here. I will say, see here, there are multiple ways of doing that. Users dot for each. I want to run a for each function. And if you have seen those recordings, I will always use the arrow functions over here. I will say an arrow function that will accept 1 user at a time. And that will do what? It will just console.log user.email. Now, I know that most of you will be now, clean bold over here, and you might be thinking what is going on. But anyhow, I'll just run that first to show you, and then I'll talk about this. And this is very important. I will just take some time out. You see, I'm getting all 3 emails. Does everyone understand these 3 lines of code, which is very, very interesting, which is very, very important? If there were thousands of users, I can just take out their emails. If there are thousands of users, and what is that? They have first name as well. So if I just come over here and I say first name, and I hit save and I run that, only first names will come out, Alan, Bob, and But how many of you understand this line of code? Because I have discussed this in the last week of studies, and if you have not looked at the videos, of course you won't be understanding that one. How many of you? Yes, exactly, Aditya, we can use that. But Aditya, but right now I'm just asking some other question. Just answer my question. So yes, Kunal, for each, have you seen in my last week's video that for each, how you can use for each to print out some values, and what is this arrow function doing over here? And if you don't understand, I would really like not you to understand this. Why? Because this is something that is coming from the last part. And did you see my yesterday's announcement on the Teams group that shows you that please look at the videos? No, Eric, that's not a problem. Yes, exactly, Aditya, that's the thing. But did you see that announcement that I made yesterday on our Teams group? Let me just show you the Teams group. And I'm really happy that you are very actively, not only, of course, following the commands, but also you always interact on my messages, and that's really very encouraging. And I'll show you that. How many of you, the present over here, those guys who are present over here, how many of you have just reacted to that message, the message that I gave, that okay, please remember that I would like you to just have look at all those. So you see, I'm expecting all of you that you have seen both parts of. So again, someone of you say that you did not find. If you go to YouTube, you'll find everything over there. And you can see that over here, how many people have responded. I cannot even see over here how many have responded over here. I don't know. This is 27. I don't know how many of you are from that. I don't find most of yours name over here. Yeah, there is no name, I think, from this section. Now it will start appearing. Anyhow, that's not a problem. But the problem is, again, remember that the YouTube, the YouTube channel that I have shared, and again, you should. One thing is that I share, my link for your class section separately, and that's, of course, that's one of the things that I always do. But if I even forget to do that, I'll show you. If you go to this channel that I have shared, do you see here WEB222 summer week 3 part 1 and week 3 part 2? Aditya, I'm asking you guys, do you see that over here? Both of them, summer week 3 part 1, week 3 part 2. How many of you see that? So now, why in the world you are saying that I have not discussed or I have not shared the part 1 or part 2 over there? It's both of them are here. And that's really bad. And again, and that shows again, that you, most of you even did not really bother to see this announcement over here. Because if you had seen this announcement, this was just a second that you would have taken to just put a thumbs up over there that okay, I've seen that, I understand what you are saying. But you see that no response from, I think there is no one from this class who has literally so Aditya, I can see your name. Yes, Aditya Rahman. I can see you. I don't know who else. Anyhow, that's the position. Right. So anyhow, that's not a problem. Of course, you'll be. So if you do not understand this code, I will not make it understand anyone, even if you are looking at the recording or you are live with me. Why? Because I would like you to just go back in the previous week's lectures and try to find out what was that. I will not make this understand. And I'm just making a note over here as well. This has to be understood from week 3 lectures. So I won't be just repeating all this. I have discussed over there what are these arrow functions and how to use these arrow functions, and you must know all of them over there. Right, so I'm stopping here. And this is now here. This is the part that you have to just. So again, I have just I will just take from where we are leaving. So second part, as I've told you, that second part will be available on Friday after 7, and it would be some real nice fun because now we are talking about objects, and we'll talk about some constructors and functions and object-oriented programming. And you will say this object-oriented programming is rather very, very nice, and you will really enjoy that object-oriented programming. Even that is not a good solution to have an array of users, because we want to have some generic form where I just pass values and then users are created. Got everyone? Any questions other than this discussion? I don't want to discuss this other than this for each, other than this use. Okay, Eric, you asked a question. I was not making sense of that one. What was that question? Yeah, is there a way to have more? Yeah,
have more structure, but rather than having an array of arrays, and each value in each array has to have its definition, like its key. Like in C structs, you just have its key and you have its index.
Yeah. So you see here, you know, Eric, it's actually this is one object from this point to this point, you know. So it has, you know, the key and value over here, and it can be of any data type that you are using. So the structs, you know, the real essence behind the structs was also that you can collect the heterogeneous type of data together. You remember about that? So in the same way, here you are collecting the different types of data. You have got integer, you have got strings, you have got functions, you have got arrays, you have got, you know, you can have objects inside that one as well. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
actually these are
each time.
So actually, you know, let me just give you one example that I'll remove from here. So for example, I say hobbies. I say that there is one thing, hobbies, and Eric, be unmuted and tell me what is that I want to create. So for example, right, you know, reading. So for example, I'm just making something without any so playing, you know, sports. You see that even structure can come, even object can come inside an object.
Yeah.
Is that making sense to you now? You know, understand? So yes, there can be lots of things that can come inside that one. But anyhow, as the thing you're talking about, structure had this, you know, structure was why, what was the selling point of the structure at that point? Because you knew arrays at that time, and your professor told you that actually arrays can have only homogeneous elements. Now you should have a structure that can store heterogeneous type of data, right?
What kind of data?
Heterogeneous, like, you know, different genes, different types of data together in a one box.
Okay.
Because arrays can only accommodate homogeneous elements. If it is one of the element is in, all elements should be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the structures, again, the selling point of structure at that point was that the structures can accommodate heterogeneous, like different genes type of data together in one box.
All right. Does it take more memory to do it this way, to have the key of each value?
Yeah, so it's taking much more like memory, Eric, and I will tell you in next class, as I told you, like in our second part of this week, I will tell you that there are functions to create users. I won't be creating users like this. Otherwise, if you had thousands of users, you will have to write all 1,000 users over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see.
Rather than defining thousands of users, I will tell you there is something called a constructor function in JavaScript that we use to create users. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll just use that.
And which week is that?
It would be this week, second part. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be again a recorded one. If you want to join, this would be at Friday 5:10 with ZBB. You know, you can join that, no problems, if you're available that time.
Okay, yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
On Friday?
Yeah, on Friday 5:10.
Okay.
And again, you can find that link of that one in your, like, you know, course material file. There is a link of that ZBB section as well.
All right, I see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Friday. Thank you very much. Right, so I am now stopping recording. Like.